Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is the news at 7 on NTA International. I'm Ruth Aguele and my sign language interpreter is Bamidele John. Let's bring you the headlines. Nigeria flags off vaccination against COVID-19 pandemic, with health workers taking the lead.
Irrespective of seniority and FIFA qualification, and deploy them.
President Buhari tasks new service chiefs on national security as he decorates new service chiefs. The National Assembly says Nigeria still lags behind in digital sophistication, security and know-how. Begin on security note. The newly appointed Chief of Defence Staff and service chiefs of the nation's armed forces have been decorated with their new ranks. Now, this followed the confirmation of the appointments by the National Assembly. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, tasked the service chiefs to do whatever it takes to reclaim all territories dominated by criminal elements and effectively secure the country before the rainy season sets in. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The new Chief of Defence Staff, Lucky Irabu from Delta State, now a four-star general, was commissioned as a second lieutenant in June 1986, and until his present appointment, the Commander, Training and Doctrine Command of the Nigerian Army. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attairu from Kaduna State, was commissioned in December 1986 as an infantry officer. His counterpart of the Nigerian Navy, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo from Kano State, joined the service as sub-lieutenant in 1989, while Air Marshal Ishaka Oladayo Amau of the Nigerian Air Force from Osun State became a pilot in 1986. President Muhammadu Buhari described their appointment as not only well-deserved, but also a confidence loudly expressed on behalf of Nigerians. The entire nation, he emphasized, is looking up to them for what he called rapid relief from the worrisome state of insecurity in parts of the country.
As Commander-in-Chief, I have accepted responsibility for your action in the field. It's up to you to identify your competent officers, irrespective of seniority and FIFA qualification, and deploy them to go out into the field and secure the country. We have got a few weeks to do that, because by the rainy season we expect people to develop confidence and go back to the land to produce enough food for the nation.
While wishing the service chiefs the best of luck, President Buhari promised that every support and encouragement desired will be accorded them towards achieving their objectives. The new Chief of Defence Staff, General Lucky Irabu, on behalf of the service chiefs, expressed gratitude to the President for the honor and trust bestowed on them, which he promised will be justified.
The mandate which you've given us is very clear, which is to do everything possible to address all the security challenges facing us as a nation. We will, based on the mandate, do everything in our power to address all issues appertaining to insecurity in the country, working in concert with other security agencies.
General Lucky Irabu, who pledged unalloyed loyalty of the Nigerian Armed Forces to the President and the nation's constitution, later spoke to NTA News on the next big step.
We will bring Mr. President's expectation to bear in terms of our tasks. But let me also let you know that the inevitable is that Nigerians will indeed experience peace and security across the land. And we ensure that Nigerians, whatever bring fear to them before now, will be a thing of the past.
How do you intend to achieve that?
Well, that is the trump card, which I will not reveal to you. We, as members of the armed forces, will review various strategies and then, of course, come up with new ones to be able to meet the demands of the current realities.
The Chief of Defence Staff was, however, emphatic that under the watch of the new service chiefs, peace and security of Nigeria will not be determined by either terrorist or other criminal elements. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Professor Yamiya Shivajo this Friday received Aminu Tambuwal, Governor of Sokoto State. Issues of security challenges facing the state was discussed with a view to finding an end to the problem. The governor, while speaking to the press after the meeting, confirms an attack on a village in one of the local government areas of the state.
But of course, we also had reason to talk about issues of security, because even this morning, from 1 a.m. last night through this morning, there was an attack in Sokoto State, in Sabambi local government area, in Tara village, where so far we have lost about 15 people as a result of that attack. So security must always be at the front banner whenever leaders, more so the Vice President, meet with people who are on the saddle in our respective states. So we have discussed also about security and how best to bring this to an end.
The governor added that the Vice President is scheduled to visit the state to have further discussion with the stakeholders on how to ensure peace among the people, and will also take time off to inspect some of the projects embarked on by his administration, including a 950-capacity teaching hospital. And sharing news for Nigerians, vaccination of Nigerians against the coronavirus pandemic has commenced, with 4 health workers taking the first shot of the vaccine at the National Hospital, Abuja. Kenneth Inanim reports that the vaccination exercise was flagged off by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa.
With that, Dr. Cyprian Ngang led his colleagues, who have been at the front line in the fight against the pandemic, to become the first set of Nigerians to take the vaccine against the virus. A development that Secretary to the Government of the Federation and PTF Chairman, Boss Mustafa, and other government officials say is a clear indication of the federal government's commitment towards containing spread of the virus in the country.
In keeping with our promise, the Presidential Task Force is prioritizing the frontline health workers in the first batch of vaccines received. They have fought hard to save us. They laid down their lives for us, and in the ICUs and treatment centers, they became our last line of defense.
These health workers that took the first shot of the vaccine allayed fears about safety and efficacy of the vaccine.
I won't risk myself taking a vaccine that I'm not sure, 100% sure about.
I feel secured against this deadly disease.
While they emphasized on continuous adherence to the non-pharmaceutical protocols against COVID-19, they dispelled all conspiracy theories and urged Nigerians to make themselves available for vaccination.
I want to put it on record again that the vaccines that we're going to be delivering today to Nigerians are safe, they're effective, and we're going to roll out this vaccine in a very efficient manner, just like we all work together as one country and defeated the wild polio viruses.
Persons under 18 years and pregnant women are for now not eligible except they have been medically certified as vulnerable due to one underlying ailment or the other. The reason for them not being generally eligible now is because there is no scientific assessment yet.
And this is a time for us to rally behind the government. The virus knows no creed, knows no religion, knows no ethnicity, knows no sex.
All eligible Nigerians are expected to be vaccinated as the country takes delivery of more doses. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
On the global scene, Italian government blocks shipment of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine to Australia. And United Nations Security Council calls for withdrawal of Eritrean forces from Ethiopia's Tigray region. Let's join Uche Uchuku for details.
The Italian government has blocked the export of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine shipments to Australia in compliance with the EU bloc's new regulations, allowing exports to be stopped if the company providing the vaccine has failed to meet its obligations to the EU. Australia said the action would not affect its rollout, but requests the European Commission reviews the decision. Frontline health workers, saying at least 17,000 health workers have died worldwide from COVID-19 over the last year. The analysis from Amnesty Public Services International and Uniglobal Union released on Friday comes as global inequalities in vaccine access continue to widen. And data from Odometer global confirmed cases has reached 116.4 million, with Nigeria reporting 157,671 infections after recording 708 new cases Thursday. Still on health, the World Health Organization officials cite the risk of an Ebola outbreak to its neighboring countries is very high, as some of the countries are not prepared for outbreaks or vaccination campaigns. Away from health, the UN Security Council has failed to agree on a joint statement on the crisis in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region after Russia, China and India concluded it was an internal matter. Reports say 3 African nations on the council supported a draft statement. Meanwhile, Pope Francis has arrived in Iraq on a the dwindling
from the inauguration at the Rivers
House Clinic was just a simple health facility for consultation and handling of minor health issues. With the reconstruction of the clinic, the facility is furnished to serve as an all-integrated health facility with extensive diagnostic equipment, operating theaters, delivery rooms and laboratories, as well as inpatient and outpatient services.
Let me tell you that today is one of my happiest days in life. I can go home and tell my family I'm a happy man. I have not disappointed the people of Rivers State. And I have not disappointed the party that gave me the privilege to contribute my own quota in terms of the development of the state.
Former Senate President Bukola Saraki says good health delivery cannot be undermined when talking about poverty eradication.
In infant mortality, maternal mortality, it has to do with healthcare. So let me commend your vision in putting through this kind of project. Once something is good or someone is good, irrespective of our personal political inclination or political divide, we must acknowledge. And I believe that this center is not only for the people of Rivers State, it is entire for people of the country and also for the African continent.
The services of the new Government House Clinic will now be open to the public. In Port Harcourt, Oge Dinyekwiri, NTA News.
Let's look at ICT. Despite the relatively improved contribution of the information and communications technology to the nation's GDP, the National Assembly Joint Committee on ICT and Cybercrime says Nigeria is still lagging behind in digital sophistication, security and know-how, which are critical to the development agenda. The legislators raised the concerns during an oversight function to the planned headquarters of Galaxy Backbone Limited. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson reports.
Staying up to date with the rest of the world in the cyber technology domain is seen as a necessity, and for an agency saddled with the responsibility of providing and protecting internet services to ministries, departments and agencies, it can be a daunting task, especially without getting the necessities.
We are very much aware of that challenge.
This played out here as poor funding, bureaucracy and internal internet security were issues the Managing Director of Galaxy Backbone Limited, Professor Mohammed Abubakar, highlighted as impediments.
So the issue of quality of service as it is a compounded issue. It is not an issue that is just straightforward like this. There are many dependencies along the line. And these dependencies have to be cleared for us to be able to deliver the service.
The National Assembly Joint Committee on ICT and Cybercrime, after taking a tour of the facility, wants increased funding for the agency to compete favorably with its private counterparts and effectively secure the digital future of the country.
As partners, we are leaving no stone unturned in pursuit of economic development through the digital space. Accordingly, we assure you all of our support.
Federal and state ministry, department and agency have to get on the Galaxy Backbone network to improve their services to the nation.
The lawmakers pledged to see how they can contribute to improve the performance of Galaxy Backbone. Joseph